Welcome to Office Hours Online for a Web Extra. Joining me this afternoon are Nadav Shelef and John Pevehouse, colleagues of mine from the Department of Political Science. John specializing in international relations and Nadav specializing in Middle East politics. John, Nadav, we are sitting here in Studio A, 6 p.m. Central Time, February 10th, a couple hours after Hosni Mubarak made a speech in Egypt. Maybe just, I'm thinking Super Bowl, and he seems to have pulled a Brett Favre. All the indications we were getting all day was that he was going to resign. Leon Panetta suggested that, the news suggested that, all the body language coming from the White House, and apparently Egypt was that. What exactly did he seem to have done in his speech, Egypt time, late this afternoon, Wisconsin time?
Well, as you say, in some ways he pulled the he changed his mind. He reversed course, although, again, no one really knows what he was planning the whole time. Remember, the momentum for the idea he was leaving started this morning when the Army said, things are going to get better, the protesters will be able to go home, this is going to get resolved. And everyone assumed that meant he was going to step down. So the world read into that, Mubarak's gone. Mubarak came in, surprised us, said, I'm staying, although he did agree to essentially turn most of his power over to his vice president. The question is this truly an abdication of sorts to the vice president, or is this a Medvedev-Putin situation in Russia where he's still much of the power behind the throne?
Nadav, what do we know about that? Is it a Medvedev-Putin where he says, okay, Suleiman, you have all the power, but I'm still staying here, and we all know how close Suleiman and Mubarak are?
Yeah, we don't know yet. I mean, I think that's the truth. The regime until this point has constantly tried to give a little bit, give an inch here, an inch there to the protests without actually giving in to their main demands, right? So we're going to change the constitution, and later we're going to not shoot, right? And now I'm leaving, sort of, maybe. But we don't know how real that will ultimately turn out to be, and we don't know if it'll be enough for the protesters.
What do we mean by the regime? So again, looking at the media coverage, it seems you have the protesters, and of course I think we're going to discuss they're multifaceted as well. You then have Mubarak and the government, and then you have the military. And the military, at least in the press coverage, is being portrayed as very much of a separate player. Do you buy they're a separate player? Are they part of the regime? Are they trying to figure out what they are?
Well, I think they're a little of both, right? The military as a military is protective of itself as an institution, right? So they'll look out for the institution's best interest. But they're sort of intimately connected to the Mubarak regime, right? They're part of the ruling elite.
But even though the Mubarak regime is deeply unpopular, thought of as corrupt, and we knew that, the military really does seem to be popular.
Yeah, it's a neat trick.
So the military's, if they can, the success they've had in differentiating, they're still trying to keep that going.
Yeah, they're trying to have it both ways.
John, can you speak more generally? In these last 17 days, we've seen hundreds of thousands of people in the streets. Yep. There's been some violence, but not massive amounts of violence. What do we as political scientists know about when regimes shoot people or don't shoot people? When is the Tiananmen Square decision made? When is it not? When we saw this building in Iran after the elections until the government stopped it. They shot people and it ended. When are governments able to make that decision? When are they not able to make the decision? Do we know anything systematic about that?
What we know a lot about is, first of all democratic change, most regime change happens because there's some push, often from the bottom, although not always, and then there's a crack at the top, right? The elites break, they bifurcate in some way, and I think, Nadav's comment about the military trying to sort of pull it both ways, I think that's the key to what's going to happen. That's the key to the Egyptian decision about the crackdown. Right, there's going to be division within the military. If they're told, shoot or roll the tanks in, there's going to be major divisions between there. And we know that systematically in China and in Iran, the military, the majority of the elite in those situations felt like they still could keep control. Eventually, in some revolutions, you get a sense that you've hit the tipping point. Yes, there will always be someone who says roll the tanks, but the question is, if they say roll the tanks, is the military going to follow? My sense is in Egypt it's a really open question. I think some of the my guess is the senior Egyptian leadership in the military might be willing to resort to violence a little bit, but the question is, are the colonels, are the majors, or sort of the junior officers, because that tends to be always where the revolutions come from, or those sort of mid-level officers.
Talk to me a little bit about that, Nadav, because that's been the case in the Middle East. We know what the senior officers say, but it's going to take those orders, like John was saying, from the colonel, from the major, from the lieutenant, And do we know anything about who's populating those positions in the Egyptian army?
No, we don't, and it doesn't look like anybody does, right? I mean, I think that's one of the big open questions. There are a couple questions about who they are, right? How religious are they, right? How representative are they of the general Egyptian population, or how much are they sort of an elite set apart from them? How many of them are cronies, and how many of them rose up because of through a meritocratic system? We don't know. There is a big divide between the generals, the military brass, and the other officers, right? The top are seen as corrupt. They're seen as cronies, as maybe not caring so much for the institution and more for themselves. And we'll have to see what happens. One way to interpret what's been happening so far is the military trying to have it both ways, trying to not be forced to make a decision between using force and supporting the regime, and maybe just wishing the protesters go away with a little bit.
What we're hearing is there's been a Saudi Arabian-Israeli agreement. So both Bibi Netanyahu and King Faisal on the phone to Barack Obama, telling him to pull back a little bit on his criticism of Mubarak. Speak a little bit about what you think some of the fears and conversations that are going on in the Israeli government, another area of expertise of yours.
Well, yeah, not just Israel. Jordan too is a big player here. All of Egypt's neighbors want stability. There's stability first and foremost. Saudi Arabia is worried about the knock-on effects, right? If it happens there, maybe it happens here. Very different situation there, but it's possible. Israel's worried about the peace agreement that it has with Egypt, upon which its strategic posture is based. It's worried about Egyptian control of the Sinai Peninsula, which is more or less tenuous. It's also worried about whether or not Egypt will continue to cooperate in sealing off the Gaza Strip from the rest of the world. And the Mubarak regime has played along with Israel on all those fronts. And
Omar Suleiman in particular.
Yeah, Omar will continue to do that. He's a very well-known quantity in Israel, someone I think the Israeli leadership would be very comfortable with.
John, you've also done work in a recent book on American presidents and foreign policy and war. Grade a little bit the Obama administration, and let's stipulate lots of criticism. This is a difficult problem,
Absolutely.
a very difficult problem, but they do seem to have been caught a bit off guard, and there does seem to be different messages on different days.
They're very much caught off guard. You know, the story coming out of Washington is when Frank Wisner was sent, the special envoy, he was halfway there before he got his instructions to what to say. I mean, I think this administration has it's a tough problem, and I think they really had to struggle through. And also, I guess, in their defense a little bit, if this afternoon, Leon Panetta, the CIA, the main person who's supposed to be feeding information to Obama, is saying Mubarak stepping down, they were wrong. Who knows what information they've been working on as well. It's sort of B minus at this point at best, I think. I think it's a fluid situation. They've been, in the last week, I would say they've done somewhat better. But, the initial, word out of Washington, out of Hillary Clinton was, stay the course, a little bit of reform, you're going to be fine. And then this has switched now to, as you said, the Saudis and the Israelis calling and saying, whoa, you're going a little too far here. And so some people might see this swing, this sort of almost an ideological swing within the Obama administration, really to back the protesters, that we want less variance. In other words, you can switch your position a little bit, but, you need to be, you shouldn't have been so supportive in the first place. You may not push so much at this point. You need to be a little more stable in your outreach there.
Nadav, final thoughts?
We'll have to wait and see. Who knows what's happened while we've been sitting in here.
Well, exactly. While we've been sitting here and while people are watching it. John, Nadav, thanks for joining us today on the Office Hours Web Extra. Thanks to all of you for checking in on Office Hours Online, our Web Extra, and hope you'll periodically check back on our website and on the University of Wisconsin website for up-to-date analysis of what's going on in the world. Thanks for joining us.